Tonight on Joy News Prime, President Akufo-Addo reiterates the free senior high school policy will not be cancelled despite the current economic crisis.
Regardless of the difficulties currently confronting our nation, government will continue to intervene and remain responsible for the provision of free and quality basic and secondary education.
Minority and majority sides in Parliament set for a showdown next week when Privileges Committee lays its report on 3 absentee MPs before the House.
It is a mischievous rant by somebody who has a fertile imagination for mischief.
I don't see where fights come in.
For showdown.
They are factual matters.
Also in this bulletin, teachers return to the classrooms after assurances of receiving 15% COLA, but pupils did not show up in schools.
The teachers are here, but the students are not around. Probably because today is Friday. The children have decided to stay back until probably Monday.
And in business,
public sector workers have been advised not to expect the exact 15% COLA agreed with government.
COLA, or cost of living allowances, is a cash allowance which is subject to tax, and that is what is going to be applied now.
And later in sports,
it's time after all the build-up on Joy News.
All these coming up in the hour. This is your home of independent, fearless, and credible journalism. Stay with us for details. President Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo has reiterated that free senior high school policy will not be cancelled despite the current economic crisis. He explained that the government identifies education as an equalizer of opportunities and hence would continue to channel resources into the sector to ensure the effective training of the Ghanaian child. President Akufo-Addo was speaking at the 10th anniversary Grand Deba of the University of Health and Allied Sciences, UHAS, in the Volta regional capital of Hope.
I wish you many more years of continued success. Ladies and gentlemen, government will not renege on its commitment to provide quality education and equal opportunities for future generations to have a good education. Regardless of the difficulties currently confronting our nation due to the effects of COVID-19, which have been exacerbated even further by the consequences of the Russian invasion of Ukraine, government will continue to intervene and remain responsible for the provision of free and quality basic and secondary education for all. Education should be a right of which all of Ghana's youth can avail. Today's youth running barefoot to school could be a future leader of business, industry, or government. Education is the equalizer of opportunity. I'm in this position as President of the Republic because of education. I want every child to attend school, not just for what they learn in books, but for the life experiences that they will gain. I want each of them to look in the mirror in the morning, every morning, and know that they can achieve anything they dream of when they complete their studies. I want them to be confident that what they study is relevant to the demands of today and of tomorrow. I want every child to be comfortable in the knowledge that when they work hard, they will be as capable as anyone else in the world. And I want parents to look upon their children with pride as they will watch them mature into self-confident adults. Education is indeed the key.
The minority in Parliament is up in arms against Vice President Dr. Mahamudu Bawumia for partly blaming the NDC as the cause of Ghana's current economic predicament. The Vice President listed 4 reasons that has pushed Ghana to the IMF, 2 being external and the rest being policies of the erstwhile Mahama administration. While speaking to journalists in Parliament, ranking member on the Finance Committee, Dr. Kesel Atuforsen, urged the Vice President and his government to accept responsibility for their mismanagement of the economy and not seek to blame others.
Our Vice President has mismanaged the economy.
The duty of the economic management team is to sit with all economic ministries and the key economic actors and to get first-hand information as to the direction of the economy at any point in time. That is why he doesn't sit there with only the finance minister. He sits with the governor of the Bank of Ghana. He sits there with the NDPC, National Development Planning Commission. In fact, you have the ministers responsible for all economic sectors in the economy, namely the Agric Ministry, Energy Ministry, Trade and Industry, and others, depending on the President's prescription. Their job is to evaluate the economy at any point in time and to give it a dosage. Sadly, the Vice President, who has a singular responsibility of coordinating that, saw the direction of the economy, but unfortunately, he allowed the economy to fail. He should take full responsibility of the economic mess that he has, unfortunately, supervised. I want to say that under the leadership of the Vice President, he supervised the economic policy of Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo. That I call it one program, one loan, 1P, 1L. They believe that every single program they have to go and borrow money. To them, every fiscal program is borrowing and one bond. That is why today Ghana's debt is unsustainable.
The minority claim that the Vice President has no credibility. They blame the state of the economy on government's insatiable appetite for borrowing and giving out unbridled tax exemptions.
The economic management team that he supervised or he chairs, they were borrowing as if there was no tomorrow. Where was he when they were sharing the COVID money like Kalewole? Where was he when they were granting tax exemptions like Wole? I want to find out from him, where was he when they were misrepresenting the fiscal data in a manner that became a public and international ridicule? I also want to ask our Vice President that at the time that he was supervising the economic management team, he saw our minister responsible for finance going to borrow money from the international market, Eurobond, just to come and collapse People's Bank in a manner that one can only describe as vindictive and recklessness and opportunism. What action did he take? I heard him yesterday when he tried to blame the current mess that we are in on the banking sector cleanup. But I beg to say that the situation we find ourselves in today can never be attributed to international situation or external situation as well as policies that they inherited. This is a government that has proven to be wasteful, incompetent, and to conclude, useless. I say wasteful in the sense that they inherited so much, a robust tax policy. They inherited ESLA that has given them so far almost 15 billion cedis to deal with the energy sector situations. Unfortunately, they decided to collateralize it for until 2035 and spent the money today. They have collateralized almost everything as if this country do not have generations yet unborn and squandered all the money on consumption and kebab. I want to ask our Vice President that he should simply take responsibility, because we will not accept the way he is trying to shift blame. He has messed us up.
So that's the minority blaming the government of unbridled, tax exemptions there. But let's still stay with Parliament, because minority and majority sides in Parliament are set for a showdown next week when Privileges Committee lays its report on 3 absentee MPs before the House. Now, both sides are sharply divided over what should happen to Dom Kwabenya MP, Sarah Adjo-Asafo, who the chairman of the committee insists has automatically vacated a seat by failing to appear before them to explain her absence Parliamentary correspondent Kweku Asante now reports.
The report is expected to recommend Henry Korte and Kennedy Ejapon be pardoned after offering explanations the committee deemed satisfactory by majority decision. What is dividing the committee now is the fate of Dom Kwabenya MP Sarah Adwoa-Safo. The chairman of the committee, Joseph Osei-Usu, says the MP has vacated her seat after failing to appear before the committee to explain why she absented herself from Parliament.
If these three things happen together, absent for 15 days or more, without permission from Mr. Speaker, and no reasonable explanation. So once these three things happen, automatically you shall vacate your seat. That is the law. It's not the chairman of the committee saying so. It is not for the committee to say so. It is what the Constitution says. And same has been affirmed in the decision of Kojo and Attorney General.
But the minority have been fighting back. They say such a decision cannot be taken because the MP has not been heard.
In the report that we have here, there is no mention of any decision taken on Honorable Adwoa-Safo. On the two members, it ended up in a vote, and it was more or less split in the middle on partisan lines. So we have not made a decision on this. We are bringing it to the House, and then the House collectively, with the Speaker, will make a decision.
The chairman, Joseph Osei-Usu, who is also MP for Bekwai and First Deputy Speaker, insists the MP should have availed herself after she was offered several opportunities to appear before the committee.
Whatever effort Parliament ought to make to offer her the facility to explain herself if she has any explanation has been done. You can't force, even if you force a horse to the river, you can't force her to drink. It is her choice whether to discharge that responsibility placed on her to offer a reasonable explanation or not. If she chooses not to offer any explanation, the law should apply.
The report of the committee is expected to be laid next week, probably Tuesday. A copy of the draft report I have cited does not explicitly recommend the removal or the vacation of Sarah Adwoa-Safo's seat. What the report says is that the MP failed to appear before the committee despite all the opportunities given her to do so. It is expected that the First Deputy Speaker, Joseph Osei-Usu, who is also the chairman of the committee, will push the interpretation that the MP loses her seat automatically by virtue of the fact that she did not appear before the committee. The minority in Parliament disagree. Expected to be very interesting days in Parliament next week when a report is laid, when both sides come head to head and fiercely advance their points. But the bottom line is the two other MPs, Honorable Henry Korte and Honorable Kennedy Ejapon, have been pardoned by the committee by majority decision, according to the draft report we have seen so far. But Sarah Adwoa-Safo's fate now hangs in the balance. Joseph Osei-Usu thinks the report of the committee should be final, and although he expects a pushback from the minority, he thinks their side will prevail.
I'm only working on what the Constitution says. The Constitution does not give a decision to Parliament, to the best of my knowledge. And indeed, my view is affirmed in the decision by the Kojo case given by the Court of Appeal. So there's a judicial pronouncement on the particular constitutional provision. So I think it's a settled case that when the matter is referred to the Privileges Committee, the Privileges Committee reports to the House that the person has appeared or has not appeared. He has offered an explanation which the committee finds reasonable. That should end the matter, in my view. And indeed, it is in accord with what the judicial pronouncement is.
So would the clerk have to wait for the report to be laid before he can act?
Oh, yes. Because until the information is given to the House, the process has not concluded. It's still at the committee. So the information will go to the House so that there will be official record that the committee finds this explanation not reasonable or that there was no explanation and therefore the law kicks in.
Now, pupils in public primary schools in the Ashanti region are expected to return to schools on Monday. Their teachers returned to the classrooms Friday morning after government pledged to pay them a 15% cost of living allowance. But the teachers did not meet pupils in the classrooms. After waiting for several hours for the pupils to show up in school, teachers of the state experimental basic schools also called it a day. Love FM's Emmanuel Bright Kweku has been monitoring some schools in the Ashanti region and now reports.
Teachers were delighted to return to class after an almost 2-week nationwide strike was called off. But what was supposed to be a happy reunion between teachers and students fell through.
After a back and forth between labor unions and the government agreed to pay 15% of cost of living allowance to these labor unions, which subsequently led to the call-off of the strike that has been happening for almost 2 weeks now. But unfortunately, when teachers here at the State Experimental Basic 2 school came to school today, they met empty desks.
Classrooms at the State Experimental Basic 2 school were opened for primary school pupils to return to class. But after hours in wait for pupils to report to school, no primary school pupil was seen within the precincts of the school. Headmaster of the school, Solomon Osei Kankam, has been explaining to Love News the cause of the no student turn-up.
It is true. The teachers are here, but the students are not around. Probably because today is Friday, the children have decided to stay back until probably Monday. I even took the opportunity to call some of the parents. But what the parents were telling me is that the week has almost ended. Yeah, the week has ended, so they will prefer letting the children come on Monday. However, teachers have reported, and you can see behind me, I have my teachers all on board. We are only waiting for the children to come. Hopefully they will come.
At the JHS block of the school, however, Form 3 students in their casual wear stayed glued to their French lessons.
Aujourd'hui, la leçon pour aujourd'hui, c'est la rédaction.
Speaking to Love News, the excited candidates were, however, worried the weeks lost could affect their performance in the eminent basic education certificate examination.
We've been in the house today. We heard the news that the strike is over, so we came to check. When we came, the teachers were here and they told us to settle, and now we're having a French lesson. In Form 1, the lockdown, we didn't learn a lot, and now we're in Form 3. We have to recover what we had to learn in Form 1. So this strike will affect us a lot. We have to cover all the syllabus from Form 1 to Form 3.
It has affected us in some way that we usually learn 6 subjects a day, but because of the strike, only our master comes. We always come here to learn by ourselves, but master comes to assist us. But because of the strike, we learn only 1 subject. Sometimes we come here to talk. It has affected us plenty.
Teachers at the school, however, are sure of measures to cover up. Solomon Kankam again.
We are going to put in place measures to ensure that, as is, we cover up the lost topics and periods. We will try to extend the time to support the children, and also we'll be giving them more assignments to be done at home, and then also encourage them to read ahead.
So the students are indicating they are glad their teachers are back in classroom. They are hoping that in the coming months, when they sit for the examination, that is the BEC, they will excel in their exam. For Joy News, my name is Emmanuel Bright Kweku.
And this is your election headquarters. The MPP Delegates Conference to elect national officers for the party will take place at the Accra Sports Stadium Saturday. We'll go live to the venue to find out preparations for the election. Samuel Mbura is our man on the beat, and he joins us live from the Accra Sports Stadium. So, what have you gathered so far? How is the atmosphere at the sports stadium?
Right, Braze, everything is set, we can report. from security to the arrangement of sounds, and then chairs for the program tomorrow. Inside the stadium, I'm talking about the inner parameters. They've already built up the podium where they'll be addressing party faithful tomorrow. We are expecting about a little over 6,000 candidates coming to cast their ballots tomorrow. And I'll just run you through the list of expected delegates tomorrow. The constituency executives are 4,692. Regional executives will be 272. TESCOM presidents will be 291. External branches will have 324 delegates coming. National patrons will be 15. National Council of Elders will be 15. National executives will be 20. National Council members will be 60. Founding members 50. MPs will be 138. Ministers will be 23. Deputy ministers will be 5. MMDCE will also be 261, making a total of 6,166 that are expected to cast their ballots tomorrow. I've been touring the entire facility here at the Accra Sports Stadium, and what I can say is that the security is actually on a joint security operation. We have the Ghana Police Service. I've seen some military officers. I've also seen the fire service officials also here. For now, the Greater Accra Regional Police is taking in charge of operations, but tomorrow, which is the main event, will be taken over by the operations unit of the Ghana Police Service from the headquarters. So what we can say now is that everything is set for the elections tomorrow, and we have party supporters coming to the venue here at the Accra Sports Stadium. But the information I have is that the delegates who are expected to come and cast their ballots, coming from various constituencies across the country, are being camped at the UPSA hostels, those from the northern region, Upper East, Northeast region, those also coming from Upper West region are camped there. We also have those coming from the southern side also camped at the UPSA. Some are also camped at the Eburi area for them to be based here tomorrow for the voting. But what I can say is that at the moment, because election or the campaigns are still ongoing, we don't have the delegates present here. All those that we have here are party supporters that have actually come to support the entire process. What I'm also picking is that the election steering committee is also having a meeting here at the premise. So they are looking at how tomorrow's outlook will be. But I have some party supporters that we will be talking to find out from them their expectations ahead of tomorrow. And now that the party is ready to elect their, national delegates. So I have a delegate a supporter of the party who is coming here. So what's your name? Where are you coming from?
My name is Prince Oden Youngson. I'm from Aguna East.
Aguna East. Are you a party supporter? Are you delegate?
I'm coordinator.
You're a coordinator. Yeah. So what are your expectations for tomorrow?
My expectation is tomorrow I'm praying that God should help us to vote for JB. I want JB to win the General Secretary again.
So you are here just to support your candidate. Yeah, all right. All right. So let me also hear from you. What's your name? Where are you coming from?
Oh, my name is Eric Mensah.
Eric Mensah. Yeah. You're also coming from where?
Yes, Aguna East.
Aguna East. Are you happy about the arrangement so far?
Yeah.
So what are expectations for tomorrow?
Oh, me too. Then I expect my colleague to win.
So you have some of the supporters that are here. We'll be giving you up to speed details on the election headquarters that will be starting at 8 p.m. So Brace, this is what we can say for now.
So that's our man on the beat there, Samuel Mbura. Now, let me remind you that from 8 to 10 p.m., we're bringing you the Election Eve program. Evans Mensah and his team will be here to give you a comprehensive analysis on the NPP's National Delegate Conference, which is slated for tomorrow, Saturday, here in the capital, Accra. So stay with us for all the details here on your election headquarters. We'll take a quick break. We'll be back with more. So welcome back from the break. Now, Joy News editor Arba Kumson is here with this week's editorial.
Thanks, Brace. When we say the economy is suffocating Ghanaians, we sound like a broken record. But can we be blamed? People can't afford to be sick anymore because things are so bad. The prices of food, fuel, medicine, basic goods, and some services have risen, as you all know. Even the cost of using public washrooms has increased. Oh yes, we checked. It has risen by 20%, or 20 pesos rather. So President Akufo-Addo announced his government's decision to return to IMF on July 1, Republic Day. This is after many in his government boasted and thumped their chest, insisting they could manage the economy better without the IMF.
That's why we got into the IMF. You were spending too much relative to revenues, which is true. You were borrowing too much, which is true. Your external payments position has deteriorated, which is true. And so you ended up, your growth is reducing, which is true. So you ended up at the IMF. And the IMF would impose certain conditions, which is true. The supporters of this government and this government itself are very reluctant to admit the truth even when it hits them in the face.
But they had to eat back their words. They had to run back to the very IMF they claimed they didn't need. And this should be a lesson to all politicians in this country, NDC inclusive, that propaganda is not cool anymore. You know why? People are becoming more discerning and seeing through politicians' lies. And most definitely, your lies will come back and bite you, as we are seeing right now. So back to the IMF. Clearly, many Ghanaians were disappointed with the government because we believed they could weather whatever financial storms we were confronted with. But everything seems broken now, and Ghanaians are angry, and justifiably so. Well-meaning Ghanaians hope that Dr. Bawumia, who some have described as the economic messiah, would say something and put out the fires that had sparked in us. Instead, he did the opposite.
Ask a carpenter to roof your house. And he roofs this house, and suddenly the roof collapses. Without any rainfall or wind, suddenly you have a collapsing of the roof. Will you not blame the carpenter who did the roofing? Will you not blame the carpenter? But if the carpenter roofs your house, and the roof collapses because there's a tornado and a storm which has blown away roofs and windows and walls of many houses, will you blame the carpenter? Will you blame the carpenter?
So, question, Dr. Bawumia, how come the tornado did not destroy the roofs of Togo and Ivory Coast? Was the tornado aimed directly at Ghana? I mean, so who should we blame, the storm or the carpenter? I'm sure you yourself won't believe in this narrative that you are trying to foist on us.
You have to ask, how can global phenomena skip Cote d'Ivoire and all the surrounding countries and only attack Ghana? How? How does it happen?
Why? Why are we still engaging in propaganda when people are hungry and angry? Why? I mean, who cares about which political party's engagement with the IMF is more superior? I believe many Ghanaians will agree with me when I say that the lowest point of your IMF speech was blaming the previous government for the country's economic woes. But this is the very reason Ghanaians voted for the MPP in 2016, to clean the mess you say your opponents had created. So why are you blaming the NDC for your shortcomings or your government's gross incompetence? Dr. Bawumia, you have been in charge of the economic management team for 6 years. 6. Or is it the case that you're not really in charge? Are you being undermined? Well, I guess we'll never know. Your speech was a disappointment for many who were eagerly anticipating what you had to say. In fact, some actually believed you were going to apologize to Ghanaians. I think it's safe to say that that apology won't happen anytime soon, given the kind of politics we practice in these parts. The politics where people will tell you the hard truth, or rather not tell you the hard truth, to your face and cheer you on even though you are on the wrong path.
give me 1,000 interchanges and a Ghana card, I'll choose the Ghana card because it has more impact on the world.
Clearly, Mr. Vice President, you are not in touch with the realities on the ground. Dr. Bawumia, what the people were looking forward to was an admission that your government made mistakes and an assurance of how you intend to get us out of this economic quagmire. You may not have apologized, but it's not too late. Perhaps you are paralyzed by the fear that your opponents will mock you. But remember, Ghanaians may forgive you. A genuine apology softens the heart. I mean, I'm a woman, and I know, so it's not too late.
It's time now for business. I am Beverly Broom. Public sector employees should not expect an increase in their net salary by 15%. That's the assertion by finance lecturer Professor Williams Prepra. Government yesterday reached an agreement with all public sector workers to implement a 15% cost of living allowance. Professor Prepra, who is an associate professor with Andrews University Business School, USA, said workers should be measured in their expectations. He spoke on Business Live.
Because of the tax implication. In fact, some workers may be worse off because when government is computing their chargeable income, the 15% COLA will be added to the basic salary plus any allowances before the PAYE tax bracket is applied. So this is what's going to happen. We shouldn't give workers the assurance that they are going to see a 15% increase in their net salary. This is something that we must make sure that workers understand, and then when it's paid, you don't also go and agitate again. COLA, or cost of living allowances, is a cash allowance which is subject to tax, and that is what is going to be applied now.
Meanwhile, Deputy Minister of Employment and Labour Relations, Bright Rekuburbe, says COLA is a temporary measure to cushion public sector workers. Hence, it will not be scrapped.
In this dispensation, you will recall that in 2014, there was the COLA. So we have history of COLA. The times that has engineered what has brought COLA now is not too different from 2014. And as things stabilize and normalize, then COLA goes away. So they will still go back to their basic pay.
So it's temporary?
Of course, that is the concept of COLA. You know this. We hope and pray. You know, the Bible says everything shall come to pass. This is a globally induced pandemic, globally induced challenge that we have had on our hands, and we need to mitigate this. So the president, in his wisdom, thinks that we need to do something. And this is a discussion between labor and government. And I'm sure at any point, the discussion continues. So when we get to the bridge, I'm sure we'll cross it.
So you heard Bright Rekuburbe saying that COLA will be scrapped if the economy stabilizes. Let's look at the stock market for this week with Patrick Edem Agama.
The stock market recorded activities in 19 equities, with total volumes traded rising significantly to 60 million shares, representing over 3,000%. This was largely on the back of MTN. The GSE Composite Index fell sharply, recording a year-to-date loss of 11.66%, whilst the Financial Stock Index remained unchanged to close at 0.52%. There were no gainers for this week. However, the laggards were MTN and Camlot. MTN dropped by 7 pesos to close at 83 pesos per share, whilst Camlot lost a peso to close at 10 pesos per share. For next week, we should expect more activities in MTN and Total.
That's how we end business now. We leave you with news making headlines on the international front. Have a good evening. Enjoy the rest of our programs.
It's here, it's now, and it's the 2022 World Athletics Championships, which have gotten underway in Oregon in the United States. Hello, I'm Gary Al Smith with the sports. Thank you for your time. Over 2,000 athletes will be competing or have started competing for medals in 49 disciplines. 7 athletes, headlined by Benjamin Azamati, will be looking to break Ghana's medal drought at the championship. The last time Ghana won a medal at the Games was, guess, with Vida Inim in 2006, long time ago. But this year presents fresh opportunities for the country. George Addo Jr. is on the ground. He is impressed by the body language of the Ghanaian athletes ahead of the start of the competition for them.
I would say the body language is one of much relaxation. I think I saw them at the 2019 World Athletics Championships. We all saw them at the Olympic Games. I think generally around the camp, they are more relaxed than they were 2 years ago or a year ago. And it's obviously because of the kind of activity that they have gone through, the competitions they have gone into and, giving a try at has given them a bit of an experience, and they are able to be very calm. And that's one thing I realized about them. They are calm. And even if you look at the interviews and all, they're taking it really, really, really easy, knowing that it is all about how you prepare yourself and how you really get into gear in the 10 seconds or 9 seconds when the gun goes. So I'd say that the camp is very, very controlled. They got in early in time, and that's another good thing again. They got in early, they've been around, they have almost acclimatized with the situation here. Remember that most of our athletes are US-based, so they just had to fly from different cities or different states in the US to Oregon. So it's a pretty comfortable terrain for them. It's a pretty, good atmosphere for them, and they're calm. Yesterday, they had the NSA the NSA board chairman, actually, Seth Pound, joining them, speaking to them. I'd say that the camp is calm and they are ready to go and do what they know how to do. And that's the item. If you had the Bible, I'll see you underline it. In athletics, you're going out to do what you know how to do, basically. Very little can change.
George, moments getting closer and closer. Take us into your own mind. You've been following these Ghanaian athletes for some time now, and you've been having conversations with them. From your end as a journalist covering this event, what's running through your mind? When you doze off a little bit, do you wake up and get a little churn in your stomach as we wait for these heats?
Yeah, just to be fair, there's a bit of that. There's a bit of that because you can never be sure what happens in sprints. It's too short time, and there are too many crazy things that happen. So in as much as we're very excited, I'm very excited about the progress that our athletes have made. And once in a while, when I lie down, I think about what a false start, something doesn't go well. Those little things are in there. But even aside that, let's do the analysis of what we have seen from the two athletes. Let me start with Benjamin Azamati. All right. So Benjamin Azamati this year ran 9.90 seconds in March, which was breaking the national record that he set previously, 9.97 seconds. To confirm that you are a true sub-10, you need to run some more times on that. His second attempt at 100 meters at the Texas Relays, he ran 9.96 seconds. That was a lot confident. Then on the night, Omanyala ran 9.85 seconds at the Kenyan Classics in Kenya. He also ran 9.8 seconds. The only problem with that time was it had an illegal wind of plus 3.0.
So that's Team Ghana. What's the competition schedule like for them so that you can keep your eye on the red, yellow, green, and black? Starting tomorrow at 1:50 GMT, Benjamin Azamati and Joseph Paul Amoah will be in the 100-meter heat. And then the next day, that's on Sunday at dawn at 1 a.m., there'll be the 100-meter semi-final. If they qualify, Benjamin Azamati and Joseph Paul Amoah potentially could be there. Moving on to the next slide. Then we... 2 days later, so that will be on Tuesday, the 200-meter heats at midday will feature Joseph Paul Amoah, Joe Paul they call him. Then the following day at 1:50 a.m., if he qualifies from the heats, obviously, Joe Paul will be in the semi-final. And then on the 23rd, there will be the 4x100 meter men's relay heat at 1:20 a.m. So all the stuff, if you really want to follow the Ghana boys, you've got to wake up. Azamati, Joe Paul, Sean Safu Enchi, and Emmanuel Yeboah will be competing in the relays. Then there's the 800 meters men's heat, Alexa Mankwa, and then the 800 meter semi-final men. If he makes it, he will be taking part on the 22nd as well. Right, so some top African athletes could miss out on this year's championship due to visa troubles, as the U.S. embassies across the world are struggling to approve applications. World Athletics said on Thursday that 255 of 374 outstanding visa cases had been resolved, while another 20 have been refused, and around 100 are still to be resolved, with many of them expected to fail. Africa's fastest man is Ferdinand Omanyala. He received his visa only yesterday, Thursday afternoon, and reports suggest he will arrive in the U.S. right about now, just about 3 hours before the 100-meter heat starts. And the Kenyan, however, is hopeful.
First of all, I want to thank everybody who has worked around the clock to ensure I get my visa. I got my visa today from the U.S. Embassy, and I want to thank them also. You see, there's nobody to blame here. I mean, it's the system, how it works. You cannot just force anything. It's out of control. But I want to thank the Minister of Sports, Madam Amina. She's been working, okay. People are talking out here, but they don't know what's behind the scenes. She's been working all around the clock. Last night, she was really working on this. And I want to also thank the President. The President, like 2 days ago, and he instructed that to be done. So let's say it's just the system, how it works. And also the Federation, I want to thank you for this. And they're organizing for me a flight. I hope I get there. Let's stay positive, guys, because I know I'm supposed to compete tomorrow, but Roju Manze, I mean, I'm here to go and compete, so it's just about getting to Oregon.
Omanyala is also the third fastest man in the world this season. Good luck to him, and good luck to the Team Ghana contingent who will be racing starting at 1:50 a.m. I'm Gary Osmith. That's the athletics for now. There's more this weekend on the World Athletics Championship from Joy Sports. Handing over to Brace to take you over to the MPP National Delegates.
Well, and that's how we wrap up today's edition of the Joy News Prime. There's more news at my